Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. I welcome all of you to the second class on crash course sociology that we have conducted. The first class we conducted yesterday. And in the first class, we tried to cover some basics on unit 1. Okay. Today, I would like to first begin with unit 2, and then we'll come back to unit 1 to finish the remaining topics. Because unit 2 is very important to understand rest of the units, including unit 4 and 3. Okay. So first I'll try my best to build up a good foundation for all the students whose unit 2 is not good. Okay. So let us first try to understand what is the demand of unit 2. If you look into the name of the unit is Sociology and Science. Sociology as science. The biggest question is sociology a science? If yes, then why? And if not, then why not? Okay. But in order to argue whether sociology is science or not, first we need to know what is science. You can't say A is B if you do not know what is B. Okay. So therefore it is imperative on our part to understand what is science. तो पहले अब साइंस की बात कर लेते हैं. If you really want to understand science, just think for a second that it is just a body of knowledge only. I mean, religion is also body of knowledge. Magic is also body of knowledge. And similarly, science is also body of knowledge. I mean, COVID can be cured by magic also. This is some people believe. It can be cured by religion also. And it can be cured by science also. But मैं एक बाबा के पास गया. मैंने कहा मुझे कोविड है. उसने मुझे एक गोली दी. मैं ठीक हो गया अगले दिन. Can I prove that I got all right only because of that pill that he gave me? This can never be proven, but somehow I would start believing in him. यार कल मैं गया था, आज भाई बंदे में बात है. Okay, but I cannot prove him wrong. This is what magic does to you. You get spellbound. Okay, this is what religion also does to you, but science do not do the same thing with you. Okay, you need reports, data. ऐसे कैसे? Okay. So let us first understand science is a body of knowledge. However, it is different from the bodies like religion and magic. How? In what sense? Science as body of knowledge is characterized by some important features, which I'm going to talk about now. First important thing which makes science unique is that it is testable. You can test the findings. Bhai, I can get myself tested. Do I have COVID or not? And I can get myself tested purely based on objective standards. Only with the help of some laboratories working on scientific principles. Okay. So first thing is it is testable. Magic is not testable. Okay. Whatever astrologer will tell you, you will qualify UPSC within 2 years. Can you test his baat? आप टेस्ट नहीं कर सकते जब तक 2 साल निकल नहीं जाते. 2 साल तक वेट करो उसकी टेस्ट की फाइंडिंग का. बट लेबोरेटरी में तुरंत आता रिजल्ट. Okay, anyhow. So first is testable. Second is that it is completely based on empirical data or empirical findings. Empirical or empiricism, whatever you may say. Empiricism. Empiricism means you can have direct sensory experience. Sensory experience. Empiricism means क्या? You can touch it, you can see it, you can listen to it, you can feel it. That is empiricism. Can you touch God? Can you feel God? No. At least he's not empirically valid. Okay. But science, on the other hand, scientific findings, and science runs basically on empiricism. It needs to see, it needs to test, it needs to have data. Sensory experience has to be there. Microscope, telescope. ऐसे नहीं हवा में बोल दिया कि सेंटर पे कौन है यूनिवर्स में. Okay. Galileo Galilei, Newton, all those people depended on sensory experiences. Only then they could come up with those findings. Next, objectivity. Objectivity means completely factual analysis, no space for values, completely objective analysis. Okay. So Newton did not conduct experiment on apple, although he did not do it voluntarily, by chance it happened. But it is not that apple was his favorite fruit. That is why it struck to him that gravity naam ka kuch hoga. Okay. So Newton's social location did not influence his research. Apple to apple hai. आप चाहे कोई भी हो, गरीब हो या अमीर, एप्पल एप्पल ही है. Okay. Next. It is replicable. Replicability. Replicability means whatever finding you have come up with can be relied upon and it can be replicated as well. Which means if I have come out with some finding, the other scientist can also come out with similar finding, and this will prove me right, and this will also prove the findings right. Anything that you do in science, if it is not replicable, if it cannot be proven by someone else on similar steps, then इसमें scientific तो कुछ है ही नहीं. Okay. Next, cumulative. Cumulative. The knowledge of science is cumulative. What is the meaning of cumulative? Cumulative means the knowledge builds up on the existing knowledge. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? See, Newton gave theory on gravity. Einstein has also given theory on gravity. But could Einstein have given theory on gravity if there was no Newton? बात तो सही है. So knowledge that is built up, it builds up only because we have some existing knowledge on it. By Copernicus challenged the geocentric model. Could he have come up with heliocentric model if nobody had told about geocentric? तो एक नॉलेज था, उसी के बेसिस पे फिर आगे का कुछ बताया. क्यूमुलेटिव होता है, बात सीधी है. And next is, which is the last one, it is theoretical. It is theoretical. Now, what I want to tell you is that your answer should have these keywords. Your answer should have these keywords. ऐसे नहीं बस science is a body of knowledge characterized by fact, objectivity. ये तो क्या है? ये लिखो यार. Because every year question is short on this unit. 30 marks worth. वो भी 30 marks worth. Okay. So ये तो we have now understood what is science. But what is the larger question going on in our mind? Is sociology science? Sociology can be science if sociology also has these aspects. है ना भाई? ठीक है. चलो. Now, one thing we know what is science. Let us try to understand scientific method. Second part. And also one more thing, you can also understand science through certain norms which are followed by scientists. Okay, for example, I may here talk about Robert Merton, who has given kudos principle. Kudos principle, Kudos. This is known as kudos principle. First is communalism. Okay, वो वाला communalism नहीं है ये, communalism. What is the meaning of communalism here in scientific norms? Merton believes every scientist follows certain norms. उसमें से एक norm है C for communalism. Communalism means all the findings that scientists have come up with, they can be shared across the scientists. Scientists are a community. Every scientist can share with other scientists his or her finding. Scientists work like community. जैसे स्टूडेंट्स कम्युनिटी की तरह वर्क करते हैं यूपीएससी में, एक दूसरे की हेल्प करते हैं, तो एथिक्स पढ़ ले, मैं ये पढ़ लूंगा, पढ़ा देंगे. तो scientists also work like community. They share their findings, they share their notes. Universalism. Universalism. If you remember, universalism as a term, actually Merton borrowed from Talcott Parsons. Particularism versus universalism. And the meaning of universalism, when Talcott Parsons talks about it, is exactly similar to what Robert Merton is describing here in this universalism. What was the meaning of universalism to Talcott Parsons? That everyone is equal irrespective of his sex, caste, race, which means merit. The world is meritocratic. No more ascriptive status. It would be achieved status. Universalism. Everyone would be given equal opportunity and equal treatment. This is the modern society. Okay. And Robert Merton is saying every scientist, irrespective of his color, caste, gender, can be scientist. Anyone can be a scientist irrespective of these social locations. Universalism. Okay. Next, disinterestedness. Disinterestedness means no scientist would be working for his personal gains. He would be working for societal gains. For society के benefit के लिए ही वो काम करेगा, अपने personal फायदे के लिए नहीं वो करेगा ये काम, कोई भी research. Nobody worked on corona vaccine for his personal gain. Everybody worked on corona vaccine, every scientist, for the societal gain. Then is organized skepticism. Organized skepticism means that scientists are open to critical reasoning and critical questioning. Anybody can question scientists. There is no harm in it. उनको कोई बुरा नहीं लगता. If you are questioning scientists on the basis of facts and objectivity, then completely fine. They may even review their research. आ जाएंगे next finding लेके, फिर कोई बड़ी बात नहीं. If your finding is better than them, or if your finding is questioning them on the basis of objective facts. Okay, this was all about science. Now let me start with discussion on scientific method. What is scientific method? When I talk about scientific method, ना, problem क्या है? लोगों को एक ही चीज पता है, steps होते हैं. 6-7 स्टेप्स बस। साइंटिफिक मेथड का मजाक बना रखा है। साइंटिफिक मेथड के जब हम बात करते हैं, व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट साइंटिफिक मेथड, जनरली फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी थिंक ऑफ इज सिलेक्शन ऑफ टॉपिक। बस पहला ही आता है दिमाग में। अरे द बेसिक थिंग इज, व्हाट is the basic principle behind the working of scientific method? Why do we carry out those steps? First we need to know those principles. If you do not know those principles, then you do not know scientific method. तो फिर आप रट्टा मार रहे हो और फंसोगे आगे जाके, ठीक है? So let us understand basic principles. Basic principles of scientific method. Okay, so first is, of course, observation. Observation. Second, formulation of hypothesis. Third, experimentation. And fourth, which is the last one, that is refutation or acceptance. Refutation or acceptance of what? Of hypothesis. The question is, who gave these basic principles of scientific method? On the basis of which we made those 6 or 7 steps. These principles were given by René Descartes, जिसको हम रेने डेकार्टस या डेकार्ट बोलते हैं, रेन डेका। ओके, now understand these principles, only then you would be able to understand whether sociology is science or not, क्योंकि आगे मेन हमारा सवाल वही रहेगा। Observation. This is the first thing that not only scientists, we also do. I am observing you, you are observing me, बात खत्म, ठीक है? Now I actually thought of trying to drive through my car and come to this center today morning. Okay, suddenly when I tried to sit in my car, the car was not working. Car could not start. The engine was not working properly, maybe. But one thing I observed was that my car is not working today. This was my observation. My car is not working. Formulation of hypothesis. Hypothesis means assumption. What is the first thing that I'm going to assume now? Maybe some issue with lubricant or engine, some कुछ होगा दिक्कत. Okay, तो कर लिया, hypothesis बन गया मेरा. Third thing, experimentation. If I think my engine is not working, what will I do? I will start working on that engine if I know how to work on it. Okay, कर लूंगा, कोशिश करूंगा, बोनेट खोल दूंगा, पानी डाल दूंगा, ट्राई करूंगा. So I'll start working on the engine. Experimentation कर रहा हूं मैं. हम ये करते हैं रोज की लाइफ में. और आखिर में, if now the car has started functioning, that means my hypothesis has been accepted or refuted? Accepted. बात खत्म, बात ही खत्म. But if even after fixing my engine, my car is not working, then my hypothesis is refuted. And it means the first hypothesis which came to my mind has been nullified. That is why it is called as null hypothesis. समझ गए? और second, क्या करूंगा फिर मैं? I would start thinking maybe some issue with petrol. Petrol खत्म हो गया. दिस इज माई ऑल्टरनेटिव हाइपोथेसिस, खत्म बात। ये प्रिंसिपल्स है। सो इफ यू डू नॉट नो दिस प्रिंसिपल्स यू कैन नॉट नो सोशियोलॉजी साइंस और नॉट। व्हाई, वो आपको आगे पता चल जाएगा। Now, I would not be discussing here those 6 steps. That is not what UPSC is going to ask you. Never ever. Okay. But you know those 6 steps. I hope everyone knows it. किसी को कोई issue उसमें? Those are highly mechanical steps. Completely mechanical. उसमें कुछ बताने वाला नहीं है. It's all about how you first pick up a topic which interests you. And then you start reviewing literature on it. वो सब बातें होती हैं, ठीक है? But you know, let us first try to understand what is the issue with scientific method. Critique of scientific method. Critique of scientific method. We know those steps. I feel I don't need to explain those steps to you. Okay. If I ask you a very basic question, if I drop this pen, okay, if I drop this pen, the pen will drop because of gravity, or we will have gravity because the pen has been dropped. The question is very simple. Is gravity the cause of the fall of this pen, or is the fall of pen the cause of gravity? पहला ही है, सही बात है. Second question. Is poverty the cause of unemployment, or is unemployment the cause of poverty? बात खत्म. इसमें you cannot be certain because both can influence each other. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? There cannot be unicausal explanation in the social world. Scientific method works best for unicausal explanations. Okay, scientists are very clear with their ideas. वहां कोई मल्टी कॉजालिटी नहीं चलती, सिंगल कॉज. Okay. Okay. So first critique is of course multi-causality in social world and intermixture of cause and effect. Since in the social world we have multiple cause behind a phenomena and there is intermixture also between cause and effect, we can never use scientific method because scientific method runs on objectivity, empiricism, monocausal explanation, all those things. Okay. Secondly, we know very well that in the social world, even a sociologist is a human being who's working on another human being. Sociology is a science, or if it is not science, let us leave it. Sociology is a discipline where a sociologist, being a human being, is studying another human being, which is the subject matter of this discipline. Okay. And since sociologist is a human being, the biases, the values may definitely interfere in his or her research, which is not the case with natural science. So second is values and biases. Values and biases may intervene social research, and therefore the application of scientific method would lose its relevance because it runs on objectivity. Okay. But the fact is it's not only about these critiques. There are many people, I don't know if you have read them or not, but I'll get to know those things also in a course of time. There is one person called as Karl Popper. Karl Popper. इसका नाम आपके आंसर में होना ही चाहिए. If the question is on sociology and science, and if you are not writing Karl Popper, you are disrespecting the question. Okay. What is Karl Popper saying? कार्ल मार्क्स ने बोला कम्युनिज्म आएगा. Firstly, neither he can prove himself right, nor we can prove him wrong. Neither he can prove himself right, nor we can prove him wrong. That means Karl Marx is pseudo-scientist. Pseudo, fake scientist. If you cannot prove anything wrong, how can you call it science? Karl Marx used to think that he is scientist. And he believed that I have, deciphered the laws governing the world, the laws of dialectics. और बंदा गलत भी नहीं हो सकता है, बताओ. ठीक है. Karl Popper is saying that the issue with scientific method, the main issue with classical scientific method, the main issue with classical scientific method is that it runs on verifiability approach. It runs on verifiability approach when it should actually use falsifiability approach. When it should actually use falsifiability approach, it is running on verifiability approach. इसका मतलब क्या है? Karl Marx, in order to prove himself right, would every time collect some data and tell us, see, I told you, recession has come now finally. I told you very long time back, this is inevitable. And now see, after recession, unemployment will start happening. People will start losing their jobs. And now these people, dekhna, these people will bring the revolution. So every time you would have recession in economy, Karl Marx would become alive again. Marxist scholars, Marxist economists would come alive again on newspapers, TV channels. And they will be always verifying Marxism. देखा, उसने कहा था, तुमको लगता है झूठा है वो. अरे उसने कहा था बात ठीक है, उसको झूठ थोड़ा ना करवा सकते हो तुम, यही तो बात है. अब वो पंडित, the astrologer, told you, you will clear UPSC. By chance you cleared UPSC. Can you say, he told me, that is why I cleared. ये वही बात है. You can never prove him wrong. Okay, so if someone is not falsifiable, he is not scientist. Okay, next. Next is the most important scholar in this world. His name is Thomas Kuhn. Thomas Kuhn. इसका नाम भी is must. You must write his name. On question that you would confront on sociology science, how exactly I will be discussing previous year question also in a short while. Let me discuss what exactly Thomas Kuhn is saying. Thomas Kuhn is saying very simple thing. Thomas Kuhn says that in the natural sciences, if you want to explain the reason for my motion, like for example, if I'm moving straight towards you, I would be having some friction. Okay. There would be certain laws which are operating. The laws of motion. are operating. That means my motion can be explained only with one law. There is no other law in this world. क्या है कोई और लॉ मेरी मोशन को एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए? कोई भी लॉ नहीं है इस दुनिया में, लॉ ऑफ मोशन के अलावा. बात खत्म. But if I want to explain the rise of working class, or if I want to explain the role of religion in society, do I have one law or one theory? I have multiple theories. The role of religion can be explained by Marxism. Role of religion can be explained by functionalism. Role of religion can be explained by feminism. But my motion can be explained by only one law, law of motion. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब एक ही है, that natural science is uniparadigmatic. One, there is one dominant paradigm available which can help you in every case. Reflection, refraction, those things can be explained by Newtonian physics, optics. There is no other alternative ही नहीं है कोई, बात ही खत्म. But role of family, role of state, functioning of state can be explained by Marxism, Marxist theory of state, functionalist theory of state, postmodern theory of state. What does it mean? That Thomas Kuhn says natural science is uniparadigmatic and sociology has multiple paradigms, right? Sociology has multiple paradigms, but since sociology has multiple paradigms and no one dominant paradigm, we don't have any dominant paradigm. Can we say Marxism is the best theory? No. We don't have one dominant paradigm, and that is why we are not science. That is why we are not science, according to Thomas Kuhn. Since we don't have one dominant paradigm, we are not science. At max, Thomas Kuhn says that sociology is young science. Young, अभी छोटा science है ये. अभी इसको बड़ा मैच्योर होना है, तब इसको पता चलेगा दुनिया में ऐसे ही देखना चाहिए, नहीं कि सभी कुछ नजरों से देख रहे हो. एक ही होती है दुनिया, ऐसी ही होती है. Sociology is young science according to Thomas Kuhn. Okay, young science, which is yet to mature and adopt one dominant paradigm. Okay. Now, this was all about critique of scientific method. 4 points more than enough. 5th point, you can introduce feminist critique as well. Okay. You can note down feminist critique. You have to read, you should read, because feminist critique is very important. Nobody would be writing feminist critique here, but you should be writing here. See, only if you talk about biological theory of evolution, or if you talk about psychoanalysis given by Sigmund Freud, both the theories claim they are scientific theories. Biological theory of evolution claims scientificity, and psychoanalysis theory also claims scientificity. But the fact is, if we look into these two theories, biological theory of evolution and psychoanalysis, we will come to know that both are highly sexist theories. Sexist theories हैं दोनों. कैसे? This is feminist critique. Feminist critique. The biological theory of evolution and psychoanalysis are sexist. How? See, clearly, Darwin clearly told us in his book that men are naturally superior. ये उसका statement है. Men are naturally superior only because of the course of evolution that societies have taken. Men have actually become naturally superior. What is so naturally superior about man is something that he cannot explain. Just because he is hunter, he can hunt for himself. If this is the scale of what you say superiority, inferiority, then the problem is with your scale. Because if he can hunt, she can cook better than hunting. If cooking is the scale, then she is superior. How did you choose this scale to measure superiority, inferiority? And for example, by the way, last year also in Hindu, this whole man the hunter thesis has been rejected. It was actually women the hunter. This has come out in the Hindu. Okay, but anyhow. So biological theory is sexist. It promotes and it reproduces the instrumental and expressive role of man and woman in the household, which Talcott Parson talks about. Okay. Anyhow. ये हो गया आपका critique of scientific method. Let us now discuss the next important aspect, which is positivism. Gradually, we'll come to know whether sociology is science or not. Okay. What is positivism? The fact is that positivism emerged in reaction to enlightenment. Positivism emerged in reaction to enlightenment. And Auguste Comte is one of the first counter-enlightenment scholar. One of the first, other than Louis de Bonnard and Joseph de Maistre, something which I already covered yesterday. The fact is, positivism, we should know, emerged in reaction to enlightenment, which means positivism is a counter-enlightenment philosophy. Why? Now, this may be shocking to many people because they have not read it. It's a counter-enlightenment philosophy. When monarch's rule was disrupted, when people started questioning patriarchy, when people started questioning God, the whole equilibrium got disturbed. The whole order, French social order, got disturbed. Reign of terror followed. Mass execution happened. We actually wanted some people who could tell us, please, when will the new normal come? Society was desperate enough to find when is the new social order, which is peaceful, harmonious, where there is no execution, is going to come. Please tell me. Auguste Comte said, I will tell. मैं बताता हूं. The first thing that he said was, first of all, this is nonsense. Whatever is happening in the name of democracy, individual freedom, is a bakwas hai. Because these things have disrupted our order. Okay, so he was against enlightenment. But then what did he say? Finally, he said, the new order, if you really want to understand, if one wants to understand, new order or the coming of new order, one has to uncover the laws governing the social world. One has to uncover the laws governing the social world. If you really want to know when will the new peaceful society is going to come, you will have to uncover or discover the laws which actually govern the world. If you know the laws, you can easily predict when is the new society going to come, which is going to be peaceful society. Okay, harmonious society. And therefore, he came up with 3 notions. First, he talked about social statics. And then he talked about social dynamics. Social statics and social dynamics. Social statics means society is stable. Social dynamics means society is changing. Simple. Social statics can be explained by law of coexistence. Law of coexistence. What is the meaning? When we have stable society, that means all the organs of society like religion, state, law are working in a harmonious fashion, coexisting with each other, mutually comfortable with each other. Okay, that is why law of coexistence he used. Social dynamics means the changes brought about by enlightenment and economic factors into the French society. This was dynamism. Social dynamics can be explained by law of succession in the language of Auguste Comte. Law of coexistence and law of succession. This is what we have to remember. These are the keywords. Okay, law of coexistence, law of succession. And finally, he explained law driving the society. And that is how he talked about law of 3 stage. That was the final outcome, law of 3 stage. In every stage, you have statics and dynamics. In every stage. The first stage was theological, second was metaphysical, and third is positivist. These are the 3 stages. In every stage, we have social statics, social dynamics, social statics, social dynamics, social statics, social dynamics, social statics. Running by law of coexistence. This is by law of succession. Law of coexistence, law of succession. Law of coexistence, law of succession. This is what Auguste Comte did. Okay. Now, since now I am bit assured that now you know very well that positivism is about uncovering the laws governing the social world. So now we would be talking about people who have uncovered those laws. If you can discover laws, you can easily predict what is going to come if you have laws in your hand. Okay. That is why people can easily predict when is the next solar eclipse going to come. लॉज हैं क्योंकि नेचर के, ऐसे सोशल वर्ल्ड के भी. Now, let me simply tell you and ask you as well at the same time. Is Durkheim positivist? Yes. इज कार्ल मार्क्स पॉजिटिविस्ट? ये पता नहीं होगा. इज टैलकट पार्सन पॉजिटिविस्ट? प्रॉब्लम सबसे बड़ी क्या है? वी थिंक पॉजिटिविज्म इज अलग एंड स्ट्रक्चरल फंक्शनलिज्म इज अलग. ये दिमाग में हमें लगता है वो तो फंक्शनलिस्ट है, पॉजिटिविस्ट कैसे होता है? ये जबकि फंक्शनलिस्ट इज पॉजिटिविस्ट फिलॉसफी, यही नहीं पता होगा. फंक्शनलिज्म इज पॉजिटिविस्ट फिलॉसफी. हाँ बता रहा हूँ. Now, first, let us try to understand why Karl Marx is positivist with the same logic, why Durkheim is positivist with the same logic. Okay. I told you positivism is about discovering certain laws governing the social world. Right? Karl Marx has given one law, law of dialectics. Law of dialectics. Law of dialectics, which are actually postulated by Engels and then used by Karl Marx to understand social transformation. Law of dialectics, given by Engels, used by Marx. Okay. Now, if I understand law of dialectics, I will get to know that mode of production changes because of conflict between classes. Okay, and this is inevitable. This is what Karl Marx is trying to say. This is a law, which means communism will definitely come. It is inevitable. And he used these laws to explain this. And then comes Durkheim. Durkheim उससे पहले का ही है, लेकिन आपको इसके बाद बताता हूं मैं. Durkheim is also positivist, but why? Because he says whenever industrialization would happen, suicide rate will increase. ये उसका prediction है, but ये पता नहीं होगा. When industrialization will happen, suicide rate will increase. The bigger problem is we equate Durkheim with suicide when in reality he worked on suicide rate, not even suicide. ठीक है, suicide rate पे काम किया उसने. सुसाइड को तो वो इंडिविजुअल फिनोमेना बोलता है. सुसाइड रेट है सोशल फैक्ट. ओके, सो ही सेज व्हेन इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन विल हैपन, सुसाइड रेट विल इंक्रीज, अपने आप बढ़ेगा. इसका प्रेडिक्शन है. नाउ these two examples should be given when you are explaining positivism. अगर if you are simply writing positivism is application of natural science to social world, नहीं आएंगे मार्क्स. कुछ भी लिखवा लो, सच में. ये तो कोई भी लिख सकता है. ये तो मैं आज पढ़ूंगा सोशियोलॉजी, कल ये लिख के आ जाऊंगा. इसमें कोई बड़ी बात है? ठीक है. एग्जाम्पल होने चाहिए कि कैसे अप्लाई किया नेचुरल साइंस के प्रिंसिपल्स को, कौन से लॉस को क्या कर दिया, ऐसे प्रिडिक्शन कैसे दे दी. ओवरऑल एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू टेल यू 4 features of positivism that you must write when you confront a question on positivism. Now, important features of positivism. First, unity of method. Unity of method means be it natural science or social science, both use scientific method in its findings. ऐसा कौन बोलेगा? ऐसा positivist बोलेगा. A positivist would always say, yes, we work on scientific principles, we use scientific method, we have laws, we know what are the laws governing the world, we speak just like scientists, therefore our method, their method are similar. Unity of method. बात खत्म. Second, relationship between society and individual. If you look into relationship between society and individual. To a positivist, individual is just like atom. क्योंकि positivist is scientist, तो individuals की जगह नहीं होती है. You know, natural scientists, they know that atoms are simply atoms. They obey the larger laws. Atoms के हाथ में कुछ नहीं. हम भी atoms ही हैं. We are atoms. So if we tomorrow get married and form nuclear family, do you really think it was your choice? No, it was inevitable. Societal structures made you go for nuclear family because of your moving jobs, mobile jobs. Every day you are moving in there, here. कोई fix नहीं, permanent, death of permanence, Alvin Toffler. Okay, so it was not your choice. You are fool to think that it is your choice. And if you think live-in relationship is your choice, then again you are fool. Societal structures made you go for live-in. It was not your choice. वो कैसे वो आगे बताऊंगा. So relation between society and individual simply means social structures govern individual, which means individuals are passive recipients or atoms. Passive recipients or atoms, or in the language of Garfinkel, cultural dopes. They are cultural dopes. Okay. Bas. Okay. You can write one more feature here. Garfinkel. Yes. The focus of social research. Focus of social research. What is the focus of social research conducted by positivists? To uncover the laws, जो मैंने अभी बताया. उसको you can write here as one of the features. To uncover or to discover the laws. Now, these are those points that you should have in your answer when you write a question on positivism. What are those points? First, you describe briefly positivism आया कहां से. हम क्या करते हैं, हम लिखते हैं नेचुरल साइंस को जब हम सोशल साइंस में डालते हैं, पहले थोड़ा सा बताओ कहां से आया वो. उसके बाद देन यू टॉक अबाउट दीज फीचर्स 3. देन यू गिव एग्जांपल्स आल्सो कि किसने लॉस डिस्कवर किए. मार्क्स, डर्कहाइम. कैसे मार्क्स नहीं आएंगे? ठीक है. Okay. Now, what we will discuss? Now we will discuss the critique to positivism. Critique to positivism. We know now positivism. At least briefly, we know the most important ideas. Now, if you want to criticize positivism, your answer should be as strong as it was when you were writing on positivism. और हमें क्या करना चाहिए? First of all, तो definitely we should know what are the theoretical perspectives involved in the critique to positivism. So first thing that comes to our mind is phenomenology. Phenomenology. Okay. Now, if you know one thing, by chance, if you do not know, let me also write it here. Positivism is macro sociology or micro? Macro, because it is talking about structures governing the world. It is not interested in individuals. That means it is macro. Since it is macro, it means it is more concerned about structures. Since it is more concerned about structures, what are the theories which are equally concerned about structures that we read? Functionalism and Marxism. बस ये पता नहीं है, रट्टा. Marxism, functionalism. Marxism is looking at only one thing in this world: conflict. It is a conflict theory. Functionalism is looking at only one thing in this world: consensus and integration, social equilibrium maintained, harmony between organs, working to secure the functioning of the overall system. यही बकवास करता है functionalism. Okay. So, if Marxism is about conflict, functionalism is about consensus. This is positivism. Now, let me show you briefly what is phenomenology. Because it is a critique, definite critique. But क्या वैसे पता है? Phenomenology is macro or micro? Micro. It is more concerned about individuals and how they construct meanings. But individual, अभी हम इतना ही रखते हैं. Micro. It is concerned about structures or action of individuals. Action. So it is action theory. अब यहां क्या आएगा? अभी कुंडली जागृत होगी तुम्हारी. ये मैं पक्के दावे से बोल रहा हूं कि ये पता ही नहीं है किसी को भी. यहां पे पता है क्या आएगा? यहां आएगा सिंबॉलिक इंटरैक्शनिज्म और एथनोमेथोडोलॉजी. लोगों को क्या लगता है तीनों अलग है, तभी दुनिया भर कंफ्यूज रहते हैं जिंदगी में. Symbolic interactionism and ethnomethodology are phenomenological theories. Marxism and functionalism are positivist theories. अब बात सीधी सी है. Phenomenology is direct critique to positivism. क्यों? किस लाइंस पे? मैं कुछ ना भी लिखूं ना, सिर्फ ये डायग्राम बना के भाग जाऊं. ये मैक्रो है तो मैक्रो को तो करेगा ही काउंटर. एक्शन है तो स्ट्रक्चर को करेगा ही काउंटर. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, इंटीग्रेशन, कॉन्सेंसस, इन सब की बात नहीं कर रहा है. इट इज मोर कंसर्न्ड अबाउट एक्टर्स, हाउ दे कंस्ट्रक्ट मीनिंग्स एंड हाउ इन द कोर्स ऑफ इंटरैक्शन दे मैन्युफैक्चर मीनिंग्स. Social order is an illusion. If social order is illusion, how would you make laws of the social world? ये है phenomenology. पूछ रहा है positivism को. Social order अगर illusion है, individual actors are constructing. Let me tell you how. अभी देखो, अभी तुम्हें समझ आएगा कैसे illusion है, क्या होता है इसका मीनिंग. NCRB, National Crime Record Bureau, during lockdown reported one fact. The fact was Delhi and Kerala recorded highest number of cases. ये बीच में न्यूज़पेपर में आया एक दिन. दिल्ली and Kerala highest number of cases, कोविड केसेस. एनसीआरबी ने डेटा निकाला. ये बात सीधी सी है. दिस डेटा इज फैक्चुअल और नॉट? फैक्चुअल, राइट? बट द इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ डेटा इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी फैक्चुअल. because we are actors who are not passive recipient, we are conscious beings. अब देखो दिल्ली चीफ मिनिस्टर कैसे इसको इंटरप्रेट करता है, वो बोलता है इससे पता चलता है, दिस शोज हाउ गुड वी आर विद टेस्टिंग व्हिच नोबडी एल्स इज डूइंग. इससे ये नहीं पता चलता कि दिल्ली में कोविड है, इससे ये पता चलता है कि दिल्ली में रिपोर्टिंग है. ये है दिमाग अरविंद केजरीवाल का. और ये फिनोमेनोलॉजी है. How you interpret the data. The number of death count. सारा टाइम परेशान रहे हैं हम, रिपोर्ट्स बहुत हो रही हैं, डेथ बहुत कम. ऐसा क्यों? It is how you interpret the death. If you don't want people to know that your member died of COVID and this happened, to die of COVID was seen as a taboo. ये taboo है, कोई नहीं बता रहा कि कोविड से मरा, सब बोल रहे हैं हार्ट अटैक आ गया उसको, कुछ हो गया. बताते ही नहीं लोग. It's a taboo. How you interpret death, death is death, but how you make meanings out of death is you, which is active here. And this is what phenomenological perspective is all about. These are symbols. You read this thing in symbolic form only in newspaper. Newspaper वाले क्या करेंगे, एक ग्राफ दे देंगे, दिल्ली ऐसे केरला. ये symbols जिसको interpret करते हैं, symbolic interactionism पार्ट है ये उसका, obvious है. But why Kejriwal or Kerala chief minister was in fight with other chief ministers or with PM or with any other government? Because there is no one unified homogeneous interpretation of data. And symbolic interactionists clearly say if there is no consensus on interpretation, it will cause conflict. ये conflict पे ऐसे आ जाता है, यहां से शुरू के उधर जा रहा है कंफ्लिक्ट पे ऐसे. मार्क्सिज्म शुरू कंफ्लिक्ट से होता है, इंडिविजुअल्स की बात ही नहीं करता. ठीक है. नाउ ethnomethodology, symbolic interactionism, those things you can now easily read. Okay, the larger idea you should understand. Now let us discuss the next aspect in your syllabus, which is the second last aspect now, major theoretical strands of research methodology. Major theoretical strands of research methodology. And finally, I'll discuss the critique to positivism once again with non-positivist methodology. Briefly, I'll explain some other non-positivist methodologies as well, including critical theory, reflexive sociology, post-positivism. ठीक है, जो बच्चे पढ़ते नहीं. Major theoretical strands of research methodology are like this. It is not, when you read this question ना दिमाग में आता है quantitative, qualitative, फिर गलत. वो यूनिट 3 है, यूनिट 2 है. This is from unit 2. Research methodology unit 2 में है. Major theoretical strands of, वो क्या है unit 3? Research methods. The problem is we do not know the difference between methods and methodology. But कोई बात नहीं. ये है देखो अब हमारा जो, as I told you that when you talk about major theoretical strands, the first thing that we should obviously talk about is that there are macro theories and there are micro theories in sociology. Within macro, we have structure approach, and within micro, we have action approach. Within structure, we have positivist approach, and within action, we have anti-positivist approach. Anti-positivist. Okay, now Within positivist, we have two approaches: functionalism, Marxism. Within anti-positivism, we have phenomenology, second, ethnomethodology, third, symbolic interactionism, and fourth, dramaturgy. Dramaturgy. And finally, the last one is postmodernism. Postmodernism. Five approaches in anti-positivism. The last one is postmodernism. Okay. These are major theoretical strands. Strands हैं ये, strands. Research methodology के. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? इस statement का मतलब क्या है? If I as a sociologist want to research on religion, what are the theories that are available at my disposal which can be used to conduct my study on religion? So I may conduct study on religion using macro approach. I may even conduct study on religion using micro approach. This is the major theoretical stance. This is what you have to remember. Okay. Now, briefly, if I have to explain these things, this I have already told you. Functionalism, you know very well. It's all about parts working together to maintain the system. So functional analysis of religion would be how religion is working to maintain the system. Functional analysis of state would be religion को रख के state कैसे काम कर रहा है system के maintenance में. एक एक part निकाले गाड़ी में से. What is the function of these parts in the working of car? This is what mechanics है basically, mechanical. ठीक है. Marxism. Marxism, you know, is a conflict theory. It will always say, yes, parts are working. Definitely, parts are working, but they are not working to maintain system. Parts are working to maintain capitalism and the capitalist interest. Samjhe? Not system. And if by chance, okay, if it is system, then let me tell you, according to Marx, system is running on capitalist values. Okay. Phenomenology, on the other hand, clearly says enough of system and enough of structures. Please talk about individuals. They are not stupid who are governed by structures. They are active actors who construct meanings. They act, they do not react. Okay, this is what phenomenology is saying. Ethnomethodology. But remember, I will tell you some keywords which you would have to read, and you should definitely incorporate in your answer to make your answer different from other, because generally phenomenology, when people talk about, they always write very general answer. Phenomenology should also have keywords. If you have keywords on positivism, why discrimination against phenomenology? So the keywords for phenomenology that I'm going to tell you now is first, typification. Typification. Second, life world. Third, stock of knowledge. Fourth, intersubjectivities. Intersubjectivities. These four keywords you have to remember. Okay. You may even read on them, but your answer should definitely have one or two or at least three. Ethnomethodology. What are the keywords for ethnomethodology? Let me repeat keywords for phenomenology. Typification, life world, stock of knowledge, and intersubjectivities. Intersubjectivity वही है जो केजरीवाल versus बाकी हुआ. How they interpret data is very different. Intersubjectivities. Okay. Ethnomethodology is just a, I would say, as I told you, ethnomethodology is part of phenomenology. Ethnomethodology is largely experimental phenomenology. Experimental phenomenology. How? An ethnomethodologist, sociologist, would always conduct experiments. You are sitting in McDonald's, eating your burger. Suddenly, ethnomethodologist will play national anthem. पीछे से तुम बोलोगे नेशनल एंथम, मुंह में जा रहा था चीज बर्गर, रुक गया, क्या हुआ, कॉन्शियस हो गए सब. नाउ एवरीबडी विल लुक अराउंड, उठ रहे हैं, उठ जाते हैं, उठ रहे हैं, कर दिया, एक्सपेरिमेंट कर दिया तुम लोगों पे, ठीक है. बट ethnomethodological sociologist is very well aware of the thing that you are conscious beings. It is not that he will play national anthem, you will immediately react and stand up. ऐसा करोगे क्या? ऐसा तो नहीं होता. सोचते हो कि ना जरूर ये कहां से बच गया, क्या हो गया. So ethnomethodologist would always say that individuals may impose different meanings on this scene, that is national anthem. What will individuals do? Individuals will start recording. Okay, in McDonald's, national anthem is being played and write to government. देखो क्या हो रहा है, इज्जत नहीं है नेशनल एंथम की. ये एक्टर है, एक्टर इम्पोज करता नहीं है कुछ भी, खुद से एक्ट करता है. He is not, his structures are not governing him. He would immediately stand up and sit down. नेशनल एंथम खत्म होती. एक्टर है. So ethnomethodology, when you talk about, please think about some keywords which I am going to tell you now. First is breaching experiment. Breaching. When national anthem was played in McDonald's, your social norms completely got breached. तोड़ दिए, उसको ब्रीच कर दिया. ठीक है, जहां आप एक्सपेक्ट कुछ नहीं कर रहे वहां वो कर देते हैं, वो इसलिए ब्रीच कैसे इसे कहते हैं, ब्रीचिंग एक्सपेरिमेंट. ओके. सेकंड एथनोमेथोडोलॉजी जो करता है, डॉक्यूमेंट्री मेथड. देन इंडेक्सिकलिटी. Breaching experiment, documentary method, indexicality, and fourth is conversation analysis. I'm not saying read in depth about them, just ensure that you throw these keywords. Okay, your answer should not look general. General क्या होता है? Actor having meanings, ये general answer है, इसमें marks नहीं आते हैं. तो लोग यही गलती करते हैं, उनको लगता है उन्हें आता है, और ये अगर आना होता है तो फिर सबके ही उतने ही मार्क्स आएंगे. ठीक है, ये कुछ ये आपको कीवर्ड्स हैं जो आपको डिफरेंशिएट करते हैं बाकियों से. ओके. symbolic interactionism. Human mind has capacity of thought. This is the first statement of symbolic interactionism. Human is endowed with capacity of thought. He can think for himself, and he can even impose meanings on symbols differently in different context. Red is red, right? The same red when you see on ambulance, it means something else. The same red when you see on red light, that means something else. The same red when you see when a boy gives you a flower, it means something else. Red is red, but it has different meanings in different contexts. This is symbolic interactionism. If a boy gives a girl a red rose, does it mean he's asking girl stop? नहीं, वो रेड का मीनिंग स्टॉप होता है वहां पर, रोड पे, यहां नहीं. ठीक है, क्या तो ऐसे वो भी रहे इनडायरेक्टली कि रुक जाओ बस. ठीक है, ऐसे ही कुछ. एनी हाउ, dramaturgy. What is dramaturgy? From this unit, UPSC for the last 2-3 years has been asking some theories which are quite novel, and I like UPSC for this because it is actually testing your conceptual understanding now. What is dramaturgy? Dramaturgy is all about actors. It is actually treating individuals as actors only, the real stars, okay, who are doing front stage performance every time. Like for example, right now I'm teaching you, okay, and trying to look very confident while speaking. I'm trying my best to look very confident when I'm speaking. This is acting that I'm doing. This is not how I speak. हम पीछे मिलोगे ना चाय पे, तुम्हें पता चलेगा मैं कैसे बात करता हूँ. ये पूरा एक्ट कर रहा हूँ मैं यहाँ पर. This is the front stage performance that I'm doing right now. When you meet me in backstage, मैं बहुत अलग हूँ, and everyone is like this only. You are sitting silently. You know you are not like this. तुम्हें पता है तुम ऐसे नहीं हो. अभी यहाँ बैठे हो इसलिए ऐसे. You are also doing front stage performance here. तो actor, just like an actor in a theater is performing, and Goffman is a scholar who has given this theory. For those people who do not know, it was Goffman. Dramaturgy. How and from whom Goffman got inspired? He got inspired from Mead. Symbolic interactionism. And he also got inspired from William Shakespeare. Okay, William Shakespeare was the first one to talk about all actors are acting. All individuals are actors in a theater. Okay. So this was all about major theoretical strands. Postmodernism. What is postmodernism? If modernity emerged with study of structures and evolution of new structures, then postmodernism rejected all those structures. Simple सी बात है. Family is a structure, right? Nuclear family is a structure which generally we believe developed with modernity. हम ऐसे ही करते हैं. With modernity we have nuclear family is a structure. Postmodernists would say there is no nuclear family all over the world working in similar fashion. Even nuclear family is not homogeneous, and even the nuclearity is finishing within nuclear families. Now we have live-in relationship living apart together, and migrant households, which means people are not getting married. They are delaying their marriages because of rising consciousness with the growth of education amongst people. Even women are delaying their marriages because of the same reason. So basically, this is what idea is about postmodernism, that they always reject those grand meta narratives constructed by modernity. Okay, modernity has given us nuclear family, deconstructed by postmodernist. Modernity has given us nation state. Idea of nation state is given to us by modernity. Postmodernism will reject nation state also. They will say nation state are not rigid boundaries, they are highly fluid. Highly fluid. During globalization, nation states are weakened. When you have deglobalization, the thing which happened during lockdown, everybody adopted inward policy. During deglobalization, nation states again got activated. तो हाउ कैन यू से नेशन स्टेट है और रहेगा? ये तो भाई सब कुछ कॉन्टेक्चुअल है. दिस इज व्हाट पोस्टमॉडर्निस्ट आर सेइंग. ओके, नाउ द लास्ट टॉपिक, फैक्ट, वैल्यू एंड ऑब्जेक्टिविटी. fact value and objectivity. And then I'll finally tell you, is sociology science or not? Okay. Fact value, objectivity. Let us understand objectivity quickly. Objectivity means any analysis done in unbiased manner with no values and based on data. उसी को हम ऑब्जेक्टिव एनालिसिस कहते हैं ना. Analysis or capacity to analyze anything, analysis or capacity to analyze something in an unbiased, value free perspective. Right? This is objectivity, which means objectivity is equal to value freedom. Objectivity is equal to value freedom. Value freedom. So what do we have in our syllabus? We have fact, value, and value freedom. Right? Fact also means value free data, which does not have any value. It is fact. It is fact. If you are 21, it is fact. There is no value in it. Fact. Which can be verified. Okay. Now, the question is, who wanted sociology to be based on objectivity? Positivists. They are more concerned about making science out of sociology. So they would be more concerned about objectivity. So positivists are talking about objectivity all the time. What are the examples of positivist? Durkheim, Auguste Comte, and Karl Marx. All the three claim that they are going to give scientific theories of society. All the three claim this. All the three. Durkheim claims objectivity. Durkheim says that we have calculated, I have calculated rules, suicide rate, and I have also listed out rules of sociological method. And I also believe that we should treat social fact as things which are objective. So treating family as thing which should be studied under microscope. Treating religion like a thing. Thing means you should not have any value towards religion. You should be detached researcher. So as a detached researcher, you have to maintain distance from the researched. So I'm Hindu, suppose, if I'm Sikh or if I'm Muslim, whatever I'm maybe, if I'm Sikh, if I'm studying Sikhism, I should be very cautious. My values may interrupt or may influence me to conduct my research in a specific manner. Okay, that should not happen. This is what positivists say. Durkheim also believed this is what a positivist study should be like. The problem is, Durkheim said we will be objective. How? Treat social fact as things. Okay. Talk about suicide rate. Third, and rules we should also list out for sociological method. The problem is he himself was not objective. Why did he call the changes happening during industrial society as pathology? A scientist, you cannot expect natural scientists to call black hole a pathology in universe. Black hole is simply black hole, a subject matter of study to a physicist. वो नहीं बोलेगा ब्लैक होल अच्छा है खराब है. डरखाइम क्या बोल रहा है कि खराब हो रहा है जो हो रहा है. ये ऑब्जेक्टिव है. This is not objectivity. Durkheim is saying these are pathologies which are developing. What are those pathologies? Anomic division of labor. inadequately coordinated division of labor, forced division of labor, 3 forms of division of labor. And then he also said, I have solutions for it. He discussed and he suggested social reforms also. And then he claimed objectivity. He's completely into interfering into the social world, and then he's saying it is objective research. कैसे objective हो गया? पहले खराब बोल रहा है, उसको ठीक करने की बात कर रहा है, फिर ये objective कैसे खराब और ठीक बोलना? Okay, Karl Marx, he claims objectivity. पूरा objective अपने आप को बोलता है. Karl Marx claims objectivity, but the fact is, Karl Marx says, "By my theory is highly based on objective data, which I have collected from British museums. Okay, on Asiatic, ancient, feudal mode of production and capitalism, so I can see directly what is happening." The problem is, if his theory is based on law, so-called laws of dialectics, then why is he saying communism is the best, or communism is a world that we should go into? Why is he being so critical about capitalism if he is objective? Bhai, as an objective researcher, he should not have been critical about capitalism. He should simply have studied capitalism as it is. Did Weber ever criticize capitalism? Weber never criticized capitalism. Weber rather said, whatever Marx has done is his ideal type. वो मार्क्स का आइडियल टाइप है. अब ये नहीं पता होगा लोगों को आइडियल टाइप के दिमाग में वेबर आता है. ठीक है, जो मार्क्स ने किया वो मार्क्स का आइडियल टाइप है, मॉडल जिसको वो रियलिटी समझ चुका है. ये उसकी बेवकूफी है. ठीक है, बट एनी हाउ, सो दिस वाज अबाउट मार्क्स, दिस वाज अबाउट डर्कहाइम एंड ऑगस्ट कॉम्ट, who is the torch bearer of this idea of objectivity. He said the coming world would have a new form of religion, religion of humanity, which we call as positive religion. Religion of humanity. ये कहां से objective लोग ऐसे बात कर रहे हैं? Religion of humanity. This is what he's saying. And August Comte का beginning देखो ना तुम. Right at the onset, he's saying enlightenment is a very bad phase. उसका birth ही positivism का enlightenment की बेइज्जती में है. तो फिर objectivity किस बात की? तो if you know objectivity, and if you know who claimed objectivity, and if you know why they are not objective, objectivity is over. क्योंकि आपने सब दिखा दिया एग्जाम्पल के साथ. अब बाकी लोग क्या करेंगे मैं बताता हूं. बाकी लोग क्या करेंगे, वो करेंगे एल्विन गोल्डनर, हार्वर्ड बेकर. अभी वो करूंगा मैं भी, दिखाता हूं वो करके, वो कैसे करते हैं. देखो बात सीधी सी है. Alvin Goldner is one scholar. But before that, I should definitely talk about Max Weber briefly, because he's very important scholar for this discussion. Okay. If I talk about fact, value, objectivity, keep it in front of Max Weber. Max Weber would say, we should maintain value neutrality always. This is his idea of value freedom. This is his idea of value freedom. What is the meaning of value freedom to positivists and to Max Weber? Value freedom for a positivist means both researched and researcher should have no value. साइंटिस्ट और जो आदमी जिसके ऊपर रिसर्च हो रही है, दोनों की कोई वैल्यू नहीं है. साइंटिस्ट भी ऑब्जेक्टिव, वो तो है ही एटम सामने. ठीक है, तो दोनों बोथ रिसर्च्ड एंड रिसर्चर आर वैल्यू फ्री. Completely value free. There is no value at all. On the other hand, if I talk about value freedom to Max Weber, he would rephrase the term and he would call it value neutrality. Kaise? Max Weber would say, researcher should never have values, agree. But you do not take into consideration the values of researched, then to फिर research किस बात की? If you do not take into consideration values of the people who you are going to study, तो फिर research कर किस पे रहे हो? हवा पे? बात तो सीधी है उसकी. भाई researcher can maintain value neutrality, which implies that researcher should sideline his values and take the values of researched into consideration. Values of researched यानी जिसके ऊपर रिसर्च कर रहे हो उसको मद्देनजर रखो, अपनी वैल्यूज को हटाओ. इसको वैल्यू न्यूट्रलिटी कहते हैं. ओके, अपनी वैल्यूज को हटाओ, दूसरे की वैल्यूज को लो. बट देन वेबर writes down one more sentence. Unfortunately, Weber says, unfortunately, researcher cannot sideline his value during first step of research, which is the selection of topic. When a researcher would select a topic, he would always be conscious of the topics that he's going to select. इसका मतलब क्या है? For example, in Delhi University, there are many this women scholars whose research is on domestic violence, wage for housework, which means feminist research. Women are doing feminist research. ये फिक्स हो चुका है. Someone who is tribal, he is doing research on Naxalism or Forest Right Act. Someone who is from Maharashtra, he is doing research on sugar cooperatives. Vidarbha region, farmers, यही चल रहा है. Someone is from Punjab doing research on Khalsa, contemporary farmer protest, and the role of religion. Someone who is Marxist is doing research something like on Uber, platform economy, class inequality, rise of poverty, new classes. Someone who is Weberian may even be doing field work to interpret what is happening in the field. Your research is going to decide what topic you are going to select. Your social location, in fact, is going to decide. Your theories, the theories which have influenced you throughout your life, are going to decide which topic you are going to pick up. These theories form domain assumptions in the language of Elvin Goldner. ठीक है? Domain assumptions. Influence the selection of topic. Okay. Domain assumptions are like the theories which have influenced you: Marxism, feminism, your own social location, like if you're women, you're tribal, those things. Maybe you're Dalit, working on Dalit movement, Ambedkarism, something like this. Okay. So Elvin Goldner says domain assumptions influence your topic of selection. Weber says the first step, topic of selection, may get influenced by your social location. That means both of them are meeting here. दोनों की दोस्ती हो रही है. यहीं पे Max Weber coins one term, value relevance. At this point, Max Weber coins one term, value relevance. Value relevance means the relevance of those values which have made you pick up that topic. Those values, those domain assumptions are relevant in your selection of topic. Value relevance. Okay. यहाँ पे इनकी दोस्ती हो गई है, यहाँ से वैल्यू रेलेवेंस आता है। ओके, सो नाउ जस्ट टू सम इट अप, the question is, can sociology be value free? Can sociology be value free? Can sociology be value free? Which means, can sociology be completely positivist, highly objective, based on facts alone, no space for values? No. Okay. And you have multiple reasons to explain why no. But, you know, some people like Howard Becker also agree that yes, it can never be value free. People like David Marsland and Howard Becker, just to give you some two more insights on these scholars. Howard Becker says there are some people in this world who are highly advantageously placed in society and some are highly disadvantaged. Whose side are we on? This is his article. हम किसकी साइड में, हम सोशियोलॉजिस्ट किसकी साइड में हैं? Who should we talk about? See, if someone commits a crime, if I commit a crime, okay, and then police officials come to my house to arrest me, and if I tell that police official that, you know, my act of crime was nothing but a reaction to anomy present in society. If I say something like this, okay, if I try to be Mertonian, okay, because Merton is saying that all the deviance is the result of inconsistency between culturally defined goal and socially legitimate means. If I tell the police official, I tried my level best to get PhD in Oxford, but I could not, and therefore I tried to loot this man because he has 1 crore rupees, which I can use to get my fellowship. And since I am from poor family and I have this goal in my life, culturally defined goal, that Oxford University, I really want to follow this American dream. But since I do not have legitimate means, I am from poor family, that is why I did. So my crime is simply response to the structural conditions. If I say थप्पड़ पड़ेगा मेरे को और कम से कम 10 साल की जेल, ताकि मैं बाहर किसी से ऐसी बात ना कर पाऊं, ठीक है? But the question is, whose side are we on? Should a sociologist take my side? Because I am really, you know, being sociological about my criminal activity. Okay. So Howard Becker says that we should definitely side with those people who are poor, those people who are disadvantaged, literally. मेरे जैसे नहीं, जो literally disadvantaged हैं, we should definitely take their sides. Okay. So when you start taking sides, you can never be objective. Okay. Whose side are we on? He says we should take sides. With disadvantaged. And when you take sides, there is no space for objectivity. David Marsland, another scholar. He also says sociology can never be value free because sociologists are not value free. If sociologists are not value free, how can sociology be value free? कैसे बोल रहा है वो? He says, in every classroom on sociology, every professor, when he is teaching on capitalism, every professor is actually creating Marxist students. All the students, when they come out of classroom of sociology, they say capitalism is exploitation, it is based on class inequality, no, it is very wrong is happening to the working class. Every student starts speaking like this. If sociology is creating students like this, who are not at all objective, then how can sociology be objective? This is what David Marsland says. So therefore he says sociology is a left-wing agenda and propaganda. Okay. Sociology is left-wing propaganda, which means it is not value-free, simply, is context में. So these are the things that you should understand and revise and read whatever sources you are following. And finally, to answer this question, is sociology a science or not? Yes, it is science. No, it is not science. I should have points for both. I cannot take one side. Yes, sociology is science. Who would say? Positivist. Names: Durkheim, Comte, Marx. Should I simply drop in name or should I also write briefly why? Why? And what exactly they have given for us to call them as positivist? We should also briefly just write Durkheim has given one law. Industrialization से suicide rate बढ़ता है. Positivist law. Prediction based. Okay. Comte, law of three stages. Marx, law of dialectics. That is why. Yes, that is why. Yes. Okay. Sociology is not science. But उससे भी पहले yes को ही पूरा भरता हूं मैं. अच्छा, tell me one thing. According to Max Weber, is sociology a science or not? Let me see what you know from your notes or whatever you have read so far. According to Max Weber, is sociology science or not? Yes, sociology is science, definitely. But the meaning of science to Max Weber is very different here. बात ये है, Weber says sociology is a science insofar it is concerned with meaningful social action with no values of the researcher interfering the research. If you conduct meaningful study of social action in value neutral fashion, then sociology is science. And if you do not conduct your research in a value neutral fashion, तो फिर सोशियोलॉजी साइंस कैसे होगी जब सोशियोलॉजिस्ट ही साइंस नहीं है, साइंटिस्ट नहीं रह रहा और अपनी वैल्यूज को ला रहा है. तो फॉर सोशियोलॉजी टू बी साइंस अकॉर्डिंग टू मैक्स वेबर, वेबर तो अग्री करेगा. देखो, वेबर विल से यस इट इज. व्हाई? बिकॉज ही सेज, उसका वर्बेटिम स्टेटमेंट है, सोशियोलॉजी इज साइंस insofar it is concerned with meaningful study of social action or meaningful social action in a value neutral fashion. This is why, according to Max Weber, sociology is science. So the reason for Max Weber to call sociology science is quite different from the reason given by Auguste Comte and Durkheim to call sociology a science. But to both of them, sociology is science for different reasons. ये ध्यान रखना है. For whom sociology is not science? What did Karl Popper say? If you cannot prove anything wrong, it is pseudo-scientific. Can you prove Marxism wrong? No. See, look into a theory given by Sigmund Freud, who also calls himself very scientific person. Sigmund Freud, in his theory of Oedipal complex, he says that a girl child feels sexual attraction for his father when she is very little. Can you ever prove him wrong? अरे अगर मैं suppose I was a boy child, if I ever had any sexual attraction towards my mother, even if I try to go back now, I cannot recall this. अगर क्या पता मुझे हो भी क्या हो. Let us agree with Freud for a second. I can never prove him wrong. बात वो है. If you cannot prove anything wrong, if you cannot prove someone wrong, मेरे सपने में राम जी आए, बोल दिया राम मंदिर यहाँ बना दो. Can I prove? Can anybody prove me wrong? If someone tries to prove me wrong, it will start communal rights. ये दिक्कत है. So if you cannot prove anyone wrong, how is it science? बात वो है. So according to Karl Popper, Marxism and Freudian theory or even positivism is or are pseudo-scientific disciplines. Pseudo-scientific disciplines, because none of them can ever be proven wrong. They are pseudoscience. According to Thomas Kuhn, is sociology science? Sociology is not science. Why? Because it does not have one dominant paradigm. Sociology has multiple paradigms. There is no one. In natural science, we have one dominant paradigm, Newtonian physics, to explain laws of motion, which has also been rejected, by the way, by Einsteinian physics now. Okay. But there is one dominant paradigm available. But in sociology, we have multiple paradigms. Since we have multiple paradigms, there is no objectivity. Since there is no objectivity, it cannot be science. At max, sociology is, according to Thomas Kuhn, sociology is not science, since it does not have dominant paradigm. And finally, there is one scholar who has summed up this whole argument. Okay. Who has summed up the whole argument? Who says, his name is George Ritzer. He's a sociologist also, not just someone who has written a book, a sociologist also. He says sociology is multi-paradigmatic science. Sociology is multi-paradigmatic science. Because we have multiple paradigms, this is a science of its own type. We have Marxism, we have functionalism. Both negate each other, but both are valid also in different contexts. Okay. So we have multiple paradigms, of course, but all the paradigms are equally helpful in different contexts. And therefore, we have science of its own type, which has no parallel. Okay, so this was all about this debate. And you also have many people on this debate, whether sociology science, like realist school is there. Okay, but we don't have to talk about everyone. You just have to know the broad idea, and you should definitely incorporate the minimum thing. Okay, so for unit 2, I think this was all about unit 2. Tomorrow I will, I think, take one extra class. आपको आना पड़ेगा, ठीक है? यूनिट 3 अगर करना है तो, क्योंकि आज मेरे हिम्मत नहीं बची यूनिट 3 आगे मैं आपको आगे करूँ, ठीक है? तो कल एक्स्ट्रा क्लास हम ले लेते हैं 1 घंटे की, 1 घंटे में हम खत्म कर लेंगे यूनिट 3, ठीक है ज्योति? ठीक है, वो हम इन्फॉर्म कर देंगे, जो भी हम कर सकते हैं ना, ठीक है? सो इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेरी, इफ यू हैव एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ डाउट, यू मे आस्क मी नाउ. Let me check YouTube. Okay, because I can't come so close. उसमें एकदम चेहरा मेरा बड़ा हो जाता है. मैं यहीं से देखता हूँ. You look like सलमान खान सर. ये क्या बकवास है? यार मतलब क्लास 1 उत्कर्ष हुई थी कल हुई थी क्लास 1. ओके, आज शायद क्लास 1 को आज ही अपलोड करेंगे. वी आर अपलोडिंग ओनली 2 क्लासेस. ओके, today's is live session and yesterday would be uploaded. Rest are part of our course only. ये तो हमने अपने उसके लिए किया है, प्रोमो के लिए. The first 2 classes that people should know that there is a crash course which is going on. Okay, to be very honest, बात सीधी सी. और क्या सर? इट शुड बी कम्युनिज्म आई थिंक. हाँ तो कम्युनिज्म किस, अच्छा वो शायद 1050 पे आपने बोला है. मुझे पता नहीं 1050 में मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ शायद. आई एम सॉरी, आई एम रीडिंग योर मैसेजेस वेरी लेट. क्या पूरा कोर्स होगा ये? यस, बट रिमेंबर दिस इज अ क्रैश कोर्स. इन 12 days यू कैनॉट कवर फुल कोर्स. ये तो फैक्ट है. तो आई विल बी कवरिंग द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स. ओके, मैंने इतना कर लिया यूनिट 2 में. मेरे को यकीन नहीं हो रहा कि मैंने इतना कर लिया. मेरे को लग रहा था बहुत कम हो पाएगा क्योंकि टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट होता है. ग्रेविटी इज कॉज फॉर फॉलिंग ऑफ पेन. अच्छा, ये तब 1.5 घंटा पहले. कोहन साइकिल, यस, कोहन साइकिल, वेरी नाइस विजय. Nisar Ahmed, will it be free of cost? No, Nisar. Today's session is for everyone, so that is why. Siddharth Behra, amazing session, sir. Thank you, Siddharth. Deepraj Panwar, but we cannot prove Newton motion of law wrong. Newton motion of law, Newton law of motion में नहीं. Newton gravity तो it has been proven wrong. Gravity is not a force. Clearly, it is not a force. Einstein has clearly said that gravity is warping of space and time. It is not a force. That is why Newton को थप्पड़ पड़ चुका है. ओके, और तभी तो वो हुआ था सन का एक्सपेरिमेंट, इंफेरोमीटर. वो किस लिए हुआ था? Is test will be for 3 hours? Yes. Archana, it will be of 3 hours. Ashwini Kumar, sir, difference between value neutrality and objectivity. सब डिपेंड करता है किसके लिए कौन सा यूज कर रहे हो. ऑब्जेक्टिविटी, सी एज आई टोल्ड यू, व्हेन आई प्लेस ऑब्जेक्टिविटी बिफोर ऑगस्ट काउंट, ही विल से ऑब्जेक्टिविटी मींस researcher and research both are completely value free. If I place objectivity before Max Weber, he will say researcher should sideline his value, but researched is important. His values are important. This is value neutrality. Value neutrality means researcher is neutralizing his values, but he is adopting the values of the person who is going to be studied. What is social action? Social action is the action which is meaningful. A sociologist has to put himself into the shoes of that person who has done social action. And sociologist, while studying the social action, has to have iron will. This is what Max Weber says. Iron will का मतलब अपनी values को अपने से दूर रखना. ये बड़ी हिम्मत का बात है और बड़ा कठिन काम भी है. आयरन विल चाहिए इसके लिए कि आप अपनी वैल्यूज को हटा के दूसरे की वैल्यूज को ही पूरा पढ़ रहे हो. आप कोई जजमेंट नहीं दे रहे हो while studying his action. Okay. Deepraj, I'll definitely explain those things. सब क्लास में मैं एक्सप्लेन कर दूंगा. अभी since we are running out of time, you may even contact me यहाँ पे आके level up पे. Okay, I'll help you with those doubts because it will take me another 25 minutes to explain all those things. Ethnomethodology, phenomenology. Okay, just remember.
Non-positivistic methodology scientific?
Yes.
Is non-positivistic methodology scientific?
Definitely. See, what is non-positivist methodology? We know what is positivist methodology. Positivist methodology is based on objectivity, empiricism, questionnaire, highly factual data, all those things, and some laws, prediction. According to Max Weber, non-positivist methodology is Verstehen. जिसको वर्स्टियन बोलते हैं लोग यहाँ पे, फेस्टियन। ओके, ये आप ऐसे समझो वेबर्स नॉन पॉजिटिविस्ट मेथोडोलॉजी is what? The examiner is asking about Festehen, which we call as interpretative sociology. Right? What is Festehen? Festehen means understanding. Understanding what? Social action. While understanding social action, can you have your own values influence the research? You have to keep your values aside and then understand someone's social action. दो मुर्गों की लड़ाई हुई एक गांव में, दो मुर्गे लड़ रहे थे, मैं गया उस गांव में, I saw cock fight. To an outsider like me, it may be a form of entertainment. मैं बोलूंगा अच्छा लगा भैया, बढ़िया, ये 50 रुपए, ठीक है। उसको गुस्सा आ जाएगा, वो उल्टा मेरा मर्डर कर सकता है, क्योंकि दिस इज नॉट एंटरटेनमेंट विच इज गोइंग ऑन, दिस इज अ वॉर फॉर स्टेटस विच इज गोइंग ऑन थ्रू कॉक फाइट। किसका मुर्गा जीतेगा डिसाइड करेगा उस गांव में कौन लीडर होएगा 10 दिन के लिए अगले। ये एंटरटेनमेंट लग रहा है तुम्हें, मर्डर हो जाएगा मेरा वहीं पर। तो आई कुड नॉट हैव अंडरस्टूड सोशल एक्शन if I had not placed myself into their shoes. अगर मैं अपनी दिल्ली वाली नजर से देखता कि सब तमाशा ही होता है, एंटरटेनमेंट की दुनिया आजकल, नेटफ्लिक्स का जमाना है, तब तो थप्पड़ ही थप्पड़। ठीक है, सो अंडरस्टैंड सोशल एक्शन, कीप योर वैल्यूज असाइड, उसके बाद समझो वो कहना क्या चाह रही है। एंड व्हेन यू डू दिस, यू आर प्रेजेंटिंग ऑब्जेक्टिव रियलिटी और नॉट, so therefore it is scientific. Okay, it all depends on how you define something being scientific. If you're defining science on the lines of positivism, then it is not science. If you're defining science just like Max Weber did, science of social world, then it is scientific. So let me go through some questions. ये YouTube वाले नहीं, जो अपने ये जो enroll students हैं, इनके questions देखते हैं क्या क्या है। Shashirani, Vibhav, Ankit. Sir, social science and sociology comparison. Yes, common sense and sociology, social science and comparison with other sociology. Sociology comparison with other social sciences will be covered tomorrow itself. Research method and these two, because common sense will take me up hardly 5 or 6 minutes only, because अभी इसलिए नहीं cover कर पा रहा हूँ मैं क्योंकि we have another class, we are running out of time. This is the issue. बट आई थॉट यूनिट 2 तो आज करा के ही जाऊंगा चाहे कुछ, ठीक है, जो बेसिक इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें हैं। सो एनी अदर डाउट? हाँ, इंडेक्सिकलिटी का मीनिंग होता है कॉन्टेक्स्ट से आप मीनिंग निकालते हो। यू डेवलप मीनिंग फ्रॉम कॉन्टेक्स्ट। देयर इज नो यूनिवर्सल मीनिंग ऑफ एनीथिंग इन दिस वर्ल्ड, देयर इज नो यूनिवर्सल मीनिंग। Suppose there was, if 2 years back, if I had put on mask, लोग मुझे पागल बोलते कि नहीं? पागल बोलते। आज वही मास्क से जब मैं घूम रहा हूं मार्केट में, मुझे कोई पागल नहीं बोल रहा, उल्टा मास्क उतार दूं तो पागल बोलेंगे। तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट डिफाइंड मीनिंग ऑफ द सेम मास्क, इंडेक्सिकलिटी। Okay, so tomorrow we are going to have class on research methods, unit 3, which will not be YouTube live, it will be for our students, and unit 1, which rest of the topics like sociology and common sense, which is very important. So I hope everyone enjoyed the session, so hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you.